Michael Frazier II, welcome to the Dribble podcast.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me on.
Now, before I ask you anything, I really want to acknowledge that you could have easily said no to this interview. It would have been easy for you to lay low, play out the season, and just not talk about anything because it's been hard enough for you as it is. So I think it's really worth acknowledging that you're here. So let's talk about the past few weeks and give you a chance to tell your story. Everyone knows what happened. The club went looking for John Brown to add a different sort of a look to the team. How did you get through it, given you had no control over what was happening?
Well, yeah, I think it's no secret that it was a difficult situation. But, you know, to be honest, given how bad things had panned out during the season, up to the time that they wanted to bring John in with the lack of clarity, you know, around how I would be used, actually, I was prepared to cut ties and start looking for other opportunities that were around. So, I mean, I'm a pretty mentally tough guy. And, you know, obviously, management or the coaching staff wanted to make a move, and that's really out of my control. And, you know, there wasn't a whole lot that I could do to control that. I obviously didn't want to leave my teammates, but, you know, like I said, obviously neither sides were happy with the way that it had been going up to that point. So, you know, I was ready to investigate other opportunities.
So let's walk people through what happened then. We know the club was really upfront with you throughout the process, which was really important. How did you learn that your position was in jeopardy and they were looking to go to John Brown? Was it a meeting? Was it a phone call? How did they manage to convince you that it was all happening but it was okay for you?
Well, there were rumors and, you know, rumblings before the club came to me. Then once they told me in a meeting that they were bringing John in, I was preparing to leave. The uncertainty that transpired after that, the meeting that I had with Scott and Danny was frustrating not only for me, but also for my teammates who were trying to, you know, support me. And at the same time, like, John's coming in and they want to welcome him into the squad in the middle of a season where we're trying to win games. So that was definitely an awkward position, but I think me and John handled it well. I don't think that's a secret. You know, it wasn't an easy thing to do, but we handled it like professionals.
There was shock initially when the club decided against signing an import centre. That was what everyone was expecting. They went with yourself and Matt Hodgson, and everyone was expecting at the time that there would be a different mix when they went. And most people looked at it and went, you look like a really good player, but they've got a lot of people who would play your role in the team. Could you understand why they got to this point of the season and went, we're actually missing a piece of the puzzle and we've got a lot of other pieces that look a hell of a lot the same?
Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, I understand why they want to do what they want to do. But I also feel that if I was used like I've been used my whole career, the need for a change may not have existed. But, you know, I think things have a funny way of working their stuff out in the end. And I guess the club and I are exactly where we're meant to be. So I'm prepared mentally and physically to, you know, help the team win and be used however the team decides to use me from here.
So we saw a bit of that on the weekend. You were used in a way which clearly suited you. How has your role changed then since this has all gone down? Because it's clear that you were doing different things and being asked to do different things in that Cairns game to what we'd seen earlier on in the season.
Well, honestly, Craig, like, that's how I played. That wasn't a one-off game. Like, that's what I'm used to. That's what I expect of myself. I mean, now it's a bit different because obviously all this stuff has happened, and, you know, given the current situation, like, we need to win 2 games regardless of what any other team does. Like, I want to help this team win 2 more games. So, you know, I'm going out with that mentality to be in attack mode. And I think before it was a lot of just trying to be the glue guy and try and, you know, get in where I fit in. And that obviously wasn't working out for either side because neither party was happy. But I think the way that I played last game, I think that game was brewing for a long time. But, you know, I got the opportunity that would allow me to show people what I can do, allow me to show, you know, the coaching staff what I can do in management. And I honestly feel like my teammates, they see it every day in training. I do that all the time in training. So, it wasn't a surprise to me. I know it wasn't a surprise to them, but maybe to like fans that haven't seen it all year, I'm pretty sure they were happy to see that. But I mean, like I said, I expect that for myself. So, I want to get better. I think I can play better. There were things that I did in the game that I made mistakes, and I can clean up those mistakes. So I'm always looking to improve and try and be better next game.
So you talk about how you've played in the past, like your 3-point shooting stats as a professional across, even I suppose as a college player across the board, are extraordinary. Like they say you barely miss when you look at the over years of data. Were you just waiting for opportunities to really get those shots in the rotation and find the opportunity on the floor to showcase your skills?
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy because like I said, in training, like I do that all the time. Like I've been shooting the ball extremely well in training the entire year, and when the games come, the opportunities don't translate. The same opportunities that I have in practice, playing my natural position, and then going into the games and it's completely flipped, or I'm not being used as much, not getting the same opportunities, the same looks. Like it can't translate. So a lot of that stuff was out of my control, and I was, that comes with a lot of frustration in itself. But at the time, we were winning, and that's what I came in to do. I came here to help the team win. So I was putting my needs on the back burner. But in order for this team to be the best that we can possibly be, like, I have to be the best version of myself. And I think people got to see a little snippet of that last game.
So once you were told that your position was likely to go to John, like, you were in a really interesting position because a lot of athletes, and we've seen this in the NBA, they go into disruption mode straight away if they're forced to hang around somewhere where they're unhappy and things aren't working out. But you went the opposite way and tried to make it work. Like, why did you stay instead of just going, well, he's here in the country, I'm not going to hang around for 2 weeks, I'll just disappear? Like, why did you decide to try to remain part of the group in case you were required back?
Well, I was prepared to leave. And, my agent was already starting to look at other opportunities for me. But I stayed largely because it's not in my DNA to quit. And, I wasn't raised that way. So I think that's mainly it. And plus, the club wasn't releasing me or they hadn't released me officially because there was still uncertainty around if they were going to be able to get the John deal done. So it wasn't like they, cut ties right then and there, because had they done that, then I would have been out. But it was like kind of that gray area. And, I really didn't want to leave my guys, like I've grown really close to this group of guys, one of the best teams that I've been on. And actually, like, me and Bryce have gotten like pretty close. So there was a emotional aspect too that I still felt that attachment, regardless of what was going on outside of that. Like I'm fortunate to be on a team with a great group of guys outside of basketball. So I think that kind of helped me in the whole situation, just helping me to keep my mental good, on top of all the work I do, on myself outside of that, like, the reading and seeking advice from my peers, and just always striving to be a better human, because the man that I am outside of basketball is bigger than the game. It's bigger than who I am as a player. So I think that's really just a testament to all the self-work that I've done over my entire career, just to be a better human.
And who did you turn to for help, who to talk to? Because I'd imagine you can't really turn to the coach. You can't really turn to the CEO or anyone else. Florida's a long way away. Like, who are you turning to vent to, or to just look for some support when you're on the other side of the country to your family and friends, and you know that you might not be here in a week's time?
Well, I mean, honestly, like, it wasn't – it was more so Bryce was huge. Vic was huge. Kevin White, Jesse, Nordo. I mean, I could go down the line, like Jack Purchase, Kyle, Matt, like, I mean, these guys like really had my back this entire time. So, like I said, like it wasn't a great situation to be a part of, but having those guys, like knowing that they supported me through it all, that shows that they're so special, you know. And I'm extremely fortunate to be able to come in and work with these guys every day, you know. So, I mean, I know Scott had alluded to it in his press conference about, you know, having a partner that's dating somebody else. Well, I'm happy that I'm dating my partner again. We'll just leave it at that.
And the even weirder part about the whole thing was that you and John Brown became mates while I was here. The photo of you and John Brown embracing after the team won, and you're both on the bench. And like, I know you're both from Florida. You're a couple of years apart in age, and I don't think you ever crossed paths in the past. But how did you become so close so quickly with the guy who had the spot that you were both competing for was the same? Like, it must have been really weird, but you became friends.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even think we were competing for a spot. It wasn't even that. Like, I think the spot was his. Had they been able to get the deal done, you know, it would have been his. So, like I said, like earlier, that stuff was out of my control, and it wasn't his fault. You know, like, he was a cool dude, and we're from the same state, and we're both far away from home. So I think that definitely helped. It was an awkward situation, but I think we made it less awkward for everyone, or maybe more awkward for some guys, because, you know, they're like, why are they getting along so well? But I mean, I think it's just a testament of the type of men that me and John are, the way we went about the situation.
So has the entire saga given you a different outlook on professional sport and how ruthless it is at the moment?
I don't think it has. You know, if you know, the coaching staff and management feels like there needs to be a change made, then, you know, that's up to them. But I've been a professional for more than this year, you know, and I've seen things, and I understand, like, the business is the business. So you got to come in and do your job every day and focus on the things you can control, and the things that you can't worry about it.
You certainly have seen it in the past. I was having a look at your history before we were chatting today. And if we go back to 2015, you were undrafted and then signed with the Lakers on August 25, 2015. You spent 57 days with them before you got waived. And 11 days later, you signed with their G League affiliate, the Defenders. You spent 78 days with them and then got traded to Iowa. That contract had lasted 50 days. And then you were signed by the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, which is the greatest name in the history of mankind, I reckon, the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. So from August 25, 2015 to March 11, 2016, you trained with the Lakers and played with 3 clubs. It just shows that in your industry, there's no security whatsoever, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was my first kind of experience as a pro. You know, it was my first year out of school. So that definitely got my mindset to where I think it helped get me to where it is now, to, you know, along with a lot of other things, people support me. And like I said, having peers that I can bounce things off of and seek advice from. But that I think everything is always equipping you for something greater. You know, I always try and have that mindset. And it's no different from this situation that I've just gone through. You know, I always try and look at the positives and see what I can gain from it, see how can I get better from it, and, you know, move on.
So everyone speaks about your positive attitude, and it seems to be a real part of your career and your life. Is it a family thing? Is that something that's been instilled in you from the family always, or is it a professional thing that someone else has drawn into you?
Well, I would probably say it comes a lot from, you know, the way I was raised, like not to quit, very high on respect and discipline, work ethic. And I think all of those things have allowed me to get to where I am today, and, you know, has allowed me to experience the things that I've experienced and be on the teams that I've been a part of. And ultimately, the success that I've had has all been in large part of those things and my upbringing, and, you know, the way that you carry yourself and the way that you treat people, and, you know, how hard you work and all of those things. So, I mean, my value system as a man is bigger than who I am as a player. And that's largely in part to my family, my dad. He raised me pretty well, I would say. So yeah, a lot of that credit just goes to him, my parents.
So tell me a bit more about the family. I know you're one of many, many children. I think there's 6 of you, is my memory. Your dad's Michael Frazier I, so that's where Michael Frazier II comes from. Tell me all about what your upbringing was like, family life, living back in America.
There's 6 of us. I'm the eldest, so I was always the role model, good and bad. If I made a mistake, my dad, had to make an example out of me for the younger ones. And also, I tried to make a standard of the type of human beings that, we want to represent the Frazier family. And that's like I said, like a large part of that is due to the way my dad raised me. Like when you go through adversity, when life gets tough, like you don't quit, you keep going. Because you can't stop the sun from shining. Bryce told me that actually, but my dad always said, like, no matter what happens, like this too shall pass, and you just got to keep your head down, keep working hard. The truth that I think every man is gonna be tested at some point in his life, and when he's tested, when he goes through that adversity, that's when his real character is gonna show. So I wouldn't want a specific situation or somebody else to define the type of man that I am, regardless of what it is. Everybody has their challenges in life, and, it can't rain forever, and you just got to stay strong, and I think that's what I've done my entire life, really, because this ain't the first time I've been through adversity. Like I tore my quad at 23 years old, and doctors told me that I had to retire. So like I'm playing with house money if I was going to listen to them, so I go out there and I give everything that I have every single day. I work my tail off every day. And that's the reason why I can have the success that I've had. Like nobody's ever given me anything. People have always doubted me. I've always had people doubt me and, second guessing me. So this is nothing new. I'm equipped for this. This is who I am as a man. And the type of player that I am, like my resume speaks for itself. When people go look that up, it speaks for itself. Like I don't play with a chip on my shoulder. Like people were saying, oh, we want to see the chip. Like it ain't no chip. That's how I play. That's how I know how to play. It's the only way I know how to play. That's me as a player, So, I mean, I think coaches and media were talking about lack of confidence. It wasn't never that. I've come to the conclusion through working from it and really, looking myself in the mirror. I think that was more lack of certainty in my role and my minutes, and my opportunities than it was a confidence issue. So, I mean, given all of this, man, like I'm excited to still be here, and I'm excited to go chase this championship, because that's what I came here to do. But I want to be the Michael Frazier that I know I can be for my teammates and for the fans that supported me through all of this, because I was getting a lot of fan love when it was looking like I was going to be out of here. And then once the deal with John fell through, I mean, people were just flooding my DMs with positive messages and positive energy. And, I always try and keep that stuff in perspective, but that just shows me like how much Red Army is like some of the best fans that I've ever been able to play in front of, and that's why I'm still so excited to be a part of this club, regardless of what happened. I'm very happy to be here and continue to work towards that goal that I came here with.
Well, the crowd certainly showed their voice for you when you ran out before the games, the past 2 games. When your name was read out, the cheering was quite clear. You ended up in the crowd twice against Cairns, and you had a bounce about the way you played, I thought, which was fantastic. And this is a good time for me to mention the Dribble podcast MVP awards, which we have on this podcast. Michael, and you were in those votes from the game against Cairns. I went 1 vote from the game against Cairns to Matt Hodgson, 2 votes to Michael, and 3 votes to Bryce Cotton for his 22 points and 10 assists. Although I think you'll find Bryce is a bit annoyed he wasn't credited with an 11th assist for a pass late in the game. And against Adelaide, it was 1 vote to Todd Blanchfield, 2 votes to Vic Law, and 3 votes to Matt Hodgson. So Bryce Cotton is now on 56 votes with an 8-point gap on Vic Law in second place. As you mentioned your record. It's been amazing when you look at your experience, like 2 G League grand finals for 1 championship. In one of those stats, in one of those games in the deciding contest, Michael had 24 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals and a block. Also got on court for the Houston Rockets in the 2020 NBA Finals Series against LeBron James and the Lakers. You've had a lot of success over the years. What do you put this success down to from a team perspective, your ability to fit into any sort of environment?
Well, I think, for one, it's been my work ethic, my discipline, my determination, my hunger to get better as a player, my hunger to get better as a person, my respect for the game, my mental toughness. I mean, there's a lot of things that I could credit to that, but also, having the right people in my ear, having the right people supporting me in my corner, and then opportunity. Sometimes you just need opportunity, and they don't always come when you want them to. But, my dad always told me that the cream gonna rise to the top, and when your opportunity presents itself, you got to be ready. So you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's what I've done this entire year. So, like I said, I'll go back to it. That game, that wasn't a surprise to me. Like, I expect that. I work, I practice like that. So, that was a long time coming.
And you mentioned your injuries before. Like, that quad was horrendous, everything I've read about it. And you had a broken arm as well, which was pretty ordinary also. Like, you have had some injuries this year as well, with the hamstring and the knee, and I think it was Cork was the other one. Like, you haven't had it easy with your life, have you, from an injury perspective? You've copped some pretty big ones.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I think all that adversity just, if you use it the right way, it can just help you become a better person and make you stronger. Because every time that I've gone through something in my life, I always come out on the other side, a better man, a better player. And this has been no different. So, the injuries this year have been frustrating, but I also think that, trying to trust the medical staff, and, I'm not always the easiest guy to deal with when it comes to certain injuries, but there's been some miscommunication sometimes on, many restrictions and things like that. And, when I can play versus when I can't, that's definitely been frustrating, but, Dan and those guys, they're great. So, it is what it is.
Are you off restrictions this week? Obviously, we don't know whether Vic Law is going to be available at this point, where it's 2:25 p.m. on Monday. We're recording this. There's no news on Vic with his ankle. Do you know if you're fully able to play this week, or are you still on some sort of restriction?
Well, I hope I'm not. I'm ready to go.
And tell me, how have you found WA while you've been over here? I know you and I bumped into each other at the airport when you were heading to Tasmania shortly after Christmas. And I said, what did you do for Christmas Day? And you said, I went to the beach. It was awesome. I thought it was 43 degrees. I'm not sure what you're doing at the beach, but it feels like you've settled in really, really well into this state and are enjoying the opportunity to be here.
Yes, I am. I'm enjoying it so much. And my time here has been great outside of basketball. I love Perth. I love WA. I love the beaches. The people are super nice. The restaurants are good. It's just a good quality of life. The weather's beautiful. Like, my neighbors are nice. So it's been a grand experience outside of basketball. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Well, hopefully you can get the good experiences for the rest of the season on the court as well as off the court. How's the team feeling heading into really important 2 games this week to try to lock away that finals berth?
Yeah, I think we're ready. I think we're locked in. I think this is the most locked in that we have to be, because our season's on the line right now. We have to approach every day in practice like that, with that type of seriousness, and just go out there and execute what Scott's asking us to do. And I think, it'll all work out. It'll work itself out.
Well, Brent, look, thank you so much for coming on. Like, as I said at the top, the easiest thing in the world for you would have been to avoid interviews, but I think you've shown an amazing insight into your character all season with the way we've watched you, and I think this is another shining example for how people can handle tough times. So I really appreciate you coming on because it's not a simple situation to be in.
Yeah, Craig, I appreciate you having me on, man. It was a good interview. I appreciate you giving me the platform to give my side of the story, because I think a lot of people were just perceiving it from, whatever they were being fed during the time. And I didn't really have a chance to discuss how I was feeling about it. I think things could get misconstrued in that type of situation. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Michael Frazier II, everybody. We hope he continues to have a fantastic year, and hopefully all the dreams that you've had coming to Australia can now come true. So good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, Craig.